What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and with Final Destination Bloodlines dropping over the weekend, there is no better time to rank the franchise than now. I've been wanting to do this for a minute and have been holding off for this new film to drop because I really love this franchise, and I think that this is a very strong horror franchise overall. We're 6 movies deep, and in my opinion, there's only really one bad movie in the franchise. So let's just go ahead and start there. At the number 6 spot is the Final Destination, which is the 4th entry in the franchise. This is easily the worst one, and I think everybody who loves these movies will agree with that because they leaned into it being 3D the most, and because of that, it loses everything else that you would expect from the franchise. The story isn't as good, the acting isn't nearly as well, the kills aren't even that good either because the focus is on the 3D stuff, and it makes everything look fake, and it just doesn't serve the purpose that I think they thought they were trying to do. But that was the thing at the time, so this was their shot at doing it, and a lot of movies did it around that time period, so I can't really blame them, but it just does not work out. You know, there aren't any likable characters at all. The characterizations don't make sense. It's not shot well. It looks like it's all shot on a sound stage, which that's something that is a real detriment because the whole franchise is built on the fact that you're in these real places, and they make it feel like you're in these real places where anything can happen, whereas everything here looks staged and framed. So I could go on about this movie, and I don't want to just slander it, but easily at the bottom of the list at 6 is The Final Destination. Now, since we got the odd child out of the way, I will say from this point on, it's fair game. To me, all of these are good movies, man. Some better than others, but all in all, they're really good, and that's what makes the franchise so strong. It's more of an opinionated thing and what you favor when it comes to these next set of films. So for me, at the number 5 spot is Final Destination Bloodlines. Now again, I really loved this movie. I like the changing of the lore. I like the liberties that they took to make things different, even though it's still structured like you would expect from a Final Destination movie. And really the reason why I can't move it further is it's too early in the game for me to put this above any of the ones that came before them, because again, all these films are good, and while this movie does offer something different, at this very moment, what it offers does not supersede the rest of the films. And it could change as I live with this one longer, because the rest of them have been in my regular movie watching cycle since I've seen them, so that could play a part in why I look at them this way, and I'm not ashamed to say that. So even though I do love it, I have to put it at the number 5 spot. At number 4 is Final Destination 5. I think that this film was really good. If you've seen the film, spoiler alert, how the ending ties into the first one is just magnificent. But before you even get to that, I think in totality, this film is really good. The opening scene on the bridge is very, very strong, and that is a great use of CGI and practical effects, because while this is a very disastrous moment, seeing this bridge collapse, it feels very, very real. And that combination of VFX and practical really sold it. I had to look it up online to see the behind the scenes after watching it for the first time and wonder how they did it, because again, you really can't see the VFX in, you know, the majority of it. It looks like they're really on a bridge, and come to find out that they did shoot scenes on a bridge, which is crazy. Even the scale of what they did for that scene in the VFX department on a soundstage is crazy that they mix all of it together. I think the final boy in here, it sounds crazy to say, I think that he does a great job of being sincere, and you actually can understand his feelings and his emotions and the underlying things going on with him on his human journey that add to the story. And I feel like this movie is kind of a recreation of the first one with the way it's handled, because while it is campy and you have campy characters, it does take itself pretty seriously for the most part, especially with how Final Dude and his friend end up going on this journey. It's very similar to how the first movie was. So love this film. And at the number 4 spot is Final Destination 5. At the number 3 spot for me is the first Final Destination. I do feel like from a technical aspect, this is the best film of the franchise, just because with it being the opening of an entire saga, it takes itself a lot more serious. I think the performances are the best of the franchise as well, because again, you have to sell people on this idea about what's going on, and this movie is the sole reason we have 5 more. So, but as I mentioned earlier, the performances in this movie are excellent. Devin Sawa, I believe his name is, he sells the hell out of that first sequence in the plane, and for the rest of the time really having this extreme level of paranoia that you buy into. I mean, there's a point where he looks like that meme of Charlie Day, like looking around with the geography around him, just trying to figure stuff out, and he's just like, if I can see it, I can feel it. And you really buy into what he's selling here because of all the things that he saw. Not to mention, this one is the most grounded, I would say, and a lot of the kills feel very visceral by the way they're handled. And to be honest, I don't think this movie leans on any humorous camp at all when I think about it. It is very, very serious. Of course, the camp comes from how over the top the kills are and just the concept being over the top itself. It handles everything very seriously, and I can't say that enough. And I feel like that's what sets this movie apart from the rest of them, because after this point, the film's definitely embraced the campiness of what's actually going on. As a closing statement to the film, it's because it takes itself so seriously. I've gotten used to the campy nature of all of the other films, so I don't watch it as much, and that's the only reason I have it at the 3 spot. At the number 2 spot is Final Destination 3. Boy, I absolutely love this film. I think it was released in 05 or 06. And I remember this time period so well. I was in high school when this movie dropped, so there was a lot of nostalgia in this movie for me, from the way people are dressed, from the cars on screen, to how low level the technology is, to the slang being used. Like, everything is like a time capsule for me in this film. And I love the opening sequence as well, being a roller coaster gone wrong, because in the back of everybody's heads when they go to the fair or an amusement park, this same thing is always playing in your head, like, what if a roller coaster broke down? And the way that they show it here is an epic proportion, from when you're first introduced to the characters at the carnival and the lead up to shit just going haywire. It is done so perfectly. And I have to say, Mary Winstead's performance in here really sells the movie as well. I think she is a combination of Devon Sawa's performance in the final dude in Final Destination 5, where she has that sincerity of 5, but also is really selling the fear and danger from Devon Sawa. So I feel like she encapsulates both of those. And I feel like the characterization in this movie is very specific and fleshed out. Like, everybody that you see who's involved with Death's plan is a very specific character type where you can easily remember who's who. Like, you have McKinley and his girlfriend, who are the emo punk kids. You have the 2 friends who are valley girls who get tans and do all of these surface level vain things. You have Freddie, who's an absolute pervert. You got Texas Battle, who is the douchebag athlete. You have Mary's character, who's more of a loner. And I forgot the other guy's name, but he is the straight edge Americana kid at high school who's cool with everybody. And I feel like the characterization amongst all of these characters is what makes the movie what it is, that I don't think any of the other movies have done as well. And then the kills here are epic. I mean, come on. You can't talk about this movie without mentioning the tan bed kill and that transition from tan bed to caskets. That is just embracing the campiness in the right way. You have the drill gun kill that is something that I never thought I would see or even expected to cause some type of death on screen. So there are some really unique kills in here. And with all that being said, I gotta put 3 at number 2. So at the number 1 spot for me is Final Destination 2. And the sole reason that is it instilled a fear of mine that I never knew I had and will always be scared of. And that is trucks carrying stuff. It just isn't about log trucks. That terrifies me too. But if I see a truck carrying anything, this movie easily traumatized most of the world. Like, if no one's seen any of these movies, I think that this sequence at the highway is the most iconic of all of them. And everybody has seen that part, and everybody is scarred by that part. Like Final Destination 3, all of these characters are specific to who they are with, you know, archetypes. I would give Final Destination 3 the better characterization because I feel like it got that from this film. Each of the people in Death's plan are completely separate types of people, but it's more from a visual standpoint than personality like number 3. Like, when you see all of these people standing next to each other, they all just visually look like they come from different walks of life, and that kind of can tell you just how far Death's spread is. You got the final girl, Kimberly, who's just this young adult college kid who wants to party. You have a cop who's involved who was on the scene of the accident, who can kind of corroborate her story, but at the same time not really, so he's reluctant. You have my man from Living Single, who kind of gives you this R&B neo soul type of brother vibe. You got the other girl who's dressed in a suit that kind of gives you the vibe of Ally McBeal here. And then you have the other guy who is associated with being the cool white dude because he listens to rap music and uses slang in a way that most white people don't use. Then you have the douchebag who just won the lottery, who thinks he's a badass. Well, I can't forget you have Clear Waters, who is thrown into the mix, who is a completely different character than she was in the first one, because now she understands what's going on, so she kind of takes this role of being an overseer of sorts. And I think seeing this group of people really adds a nice flavor to the film overall. And I believe that this is the movie also where Tony Todd's character shines the most, actually giving the characters a path to follow, which in turn leads to the rest of the movie and this being the only film where there was a survivor, which is a really big thing in these movies because no other film, there have been none. The first movie exposes the idea, but this film sets everything up from that point on just because she was able to beat it. So when you watch the other ones, you're thinking like, okay, they can beat this. They just have to figure out how to do that. And are they going to do that? So I'm going to stop there because I could talk about this movie all day long. And but the number one spot for me is Final Destination 2. So let me know in the comments what your ranking for the Final Destination movies are. And again, I don't think there's any wrong ranking. Unless you have the Final Destination as number one, we might have to throw our dukes up because I don't know what you're watching. Be respectful in the comments as always. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. Until next time. Peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.